Hey, welcome back. We got a 2015 Volvo S60 T5 with some kind of clunky steering noise going on. So we got to figure out what this is. Listen, I don't know if you could hear this. It's been driving my friend crazy. All right, the noise we heard, it sounded like it's coming up in the dashboard. You got the car raised up a little bit, and you could actually kind of just hear it when he's... Turn the wheel nice and slow again, David. I could... All right, back the other way. That's good. Back the other way again. The other way. All right, you could feel it right in the spring. Top bearing on the strut is a little wonky. You can actually see it jerking back and forth. Do it again. Yep. That's our noise. And unfortunately, that means taking this entire strut out. Or can we try to lubricate it from the top and see if it'll go away? All right, we're gonna pop the grill out over here. I already started. And then we may actually attempt to just spray some lube down around here. Hopefully it'll settle in and maybe free it up. Fast forward about a week and a half. We sprayed some penetrating oil in there and it kind of helped, but it didn't make it go away. So got some new strut mounts in the mail. Got KYBs. They're supposed to be the same for both sides. We got two. We're going to do the bad one here first. Let's start. I'm going to pull the wheel off and start disconnecting all stuff on the suspension. Sway bar end link is going to have to get disconnected. That's 15 millimeter. We have the bolt that holds the strut in place. That's also a 15 millimeter. We got everything juiced up over here with penetrating oil because this has to slide down. We're going to leave the top bolts, the three up there, hooked up for now. We got to pull this rubber hose out of the way here too. Get that undone, get this undone, and hopefully the steering knuckle will slide down off of that. We may have to beat on it a little bit. But this car is relatively rust-free, even though it lives up in the Northeast. It's been garaged and well cared for. Okay, the nut and the bolts came out with the help of the earthquake. Power tools help. You can do it by hand, but it'll be kind of tough to do this. Now, let's see if the strut is going to slide down and give it a few taps. We have that slid down really far, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. The suspension just doesn't want to drop down low enough without taking other stuff apart. So I'm going to pull the top three bolts out of the strut. Might be able to wiggle it around a little bit to get it to pop out of that little space there in the knuckle. Otherwise, we have to start disconnecting stuff underneath, either the tie rod end or the lower control arm or whatever. Let's see if we could sneak it out of here, but without going too crazy. Okay, the top three bolts are out. I just picked up this plastic and used the combination wrench to get that one. There's clips underneath here if you want to dig them out and pull this whole thing out, but you're able to get it out. Here's what we ended up with. I put a pry bar on here so I could lean on it with my large butt to push down on this while we kind of wedge this thing out. Also had to loosen up the bolt that holds the drive axle in place to give that a little bit of movement to allow the knuckle to tip out. You probably really should just pull the control arms off from the bottom, but I was determined to get it out this way, and you can do it. It's not easy. Oh yeah, we also have the chisel in there wedging the ears open a little bit for this to pop out. And there was some rust and some junk in here, so we'll clean it up a little bit to slide the new one back in. Now we could pop the whole entire strut assembly out of the car. Here is our offending part. And look at all the rust. Looks like it's all ground up coming out of there. Should you put new struts in at this point? Absolutely. But we're not going to do that. This car's got 60-something thousand miles on it. And my friend didn't want to spend the money. So that's what we're going to do. Just change the top bearing plate. We're going to need to compress the springs in order to change the strut mount. So I have these. I hate using them. I've used them plenty of times before, and in some situations they work fine, but I have something hidden in my shed that we're going to use instead. Now, when you take these out of the box, take a good look at them. There's a little hole right, I can't show you with two hands here, right here where my thumb is. That's where the mount has to line up. And the original one has like a little ear that's like sticking out on it. It's going to be facing close to that other part there. So that's the relationship it's going to have to be when it's sitting in the car. So just take note of that. Look at your old one. And when you put this on, you put it on the same way. We got to loosen up the center nut that's in there. Let's head over to the spring compressor and see if we can get it apart. Stuffed in our dimly lit shed, we have a Brannick strut compressor. Bought this off of Craigslist years ago. I've only used it a few times, but it does come in handy. So we're holding the strut from the bottom because we don't want to have it fall out. Usually you would grab the springs. So we're going to compress the spring a little bit. It already is. We don't want to go too much right now. This just cranks up and down, put pressure on it. We want to break that nut free. So if it's a little too loose, the inner piston is going to just spin around. So I sprayed some penetrating oil on that. Let's hit it with the impact gun. I'm going to put a little bit of tension on it now. Let's see if it's kind of good right there. All right, and we'll see if it backs off. Yes, the nut moved up. Let's tighten this down. This should start to get loose. So the mount doesn't have any tension on the spring, so the strut should be able to move up and down a little bit. And we'll go a little bit more. Yeah, there, we're definitely loose now. And you didn't come apart the way you were supposed to. Of course. There we go. That's that part. Here is the bearing that is no good. See if the boot's going to want to stay on there. I have a feeling it's not. We're going to reuse the nut. We're going to put Loctite on the top of it afterwards when we're done. Drop into place. Yeah, it looks like it did. Hope you're enjoying all the squeaks out there. Driving me nuts. If you were to use this style of a compressor, sometimes you got to go upside down because the bolt will be hitting into like the base of the strut. Like I said, I've done this before using these. I don't like doing it, but you can. Just be very, very careful. There's a lot of force, the spring, when it's compressed. Now we get to wrestle this back in. We're going to clean up inside the little hole in there a little bit so the strut will slide in a little bit easier. Just hit it with a wire brush, kind of clean it up a little bit. And same thing, pry bar down with my butt and kind of fit that back up in there. Here's a look at the little tabs that were over there. The other one is lined up in that little hole right there. The nuts run all the way down. We'll put Loctite on it later. Everything else looks good. Oh, you suck. How do you say you suck in Swedish? You suck. I said there's probably a better way, but we're gonna do it. Almost. There we go. Ooh. That needs to drop all the way down. We'll get the top bolts up there now. And then get the rest of our bolts back in here. That was fun. If you found this video helpful, please do me a favor. Like and subscribe. I gotta go have dinner now, I'm starving. We got all our bolts tight. Make them tight. What's the torque spec? I don't know. Tight. The strut will drop in onto a little tab that's back there, so it could only go in one way. We got our bolts on the top, all tight. They gave us new bolts because I think the threads were a little bit different, so use the new bolts that they give you. Let's see how smoothly this is turning. No roughness or anything, so hey, we're good. Again, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and thank you for watching.